pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
President,
I am here.
Commissioner,
here.
and Commissioner will be joining us. Sorry, Commissioner. That other guy.
Are you the other egg?
Promotion or demotion?
The other egg commissioner.
Kathy,
Hi, good morning.
start off.
All right, today we have our fiscal year 27 capital plan in front of you for your approval. Just to kind of give you a quick synopsis, in fiscal year 26, the North Dakota Mill and Elevator spent $15,028,572 on capital expenditures. And we have a carryover of $32,835,000. Those carryover amounts are largely due to some multi-year strategic expansion projects we have going on. The AB mill building 9th floor, the E mill expansion phase 1, which is the equipment for that project, and the terminal bucket elevator leg replacement. So that's the majority of those carryover dollars. For fiscal year 27, we're requesting $11.95 million in new capital projects. So the total capital plan in front of you is $44.79 million. We are taking a bit more measured approach to our capital planning due to several large projects that are currently underway and several more that are being studied. The fiscal year 27 capital plan focuses on 4 key objectives: growth and capacity expansion, the infrastructure reliability, operational efficiency, and quality and safety. So we have all of the projects that we have before you are focusing in those areas. So if you do not have any questions on any of the projects that are in front of you, I would request your approval at this time.
So move.
We'll wait for the motion and the vote. I can second it, but we'll wait for Drew to get here. Kathy, how are we doing
Yes.
on? How are we doing on phase 2 the expansion? Can we just get a brief update?
On which one? I'm sorry, you kind of cut out.
Just the overall expansion on phase 2. Are we on track?
The expansion for phase 2 is in front of you guys for approval today.
Yep.
We
Okay.
did open the bid for that project on August 12th. So before we can accept that bid, we need this to be approved, but
Yes.
the construction is slated to hopefully, the contractor that bid on that is looking at a July 2027 completion date. And then that project will also have a phase 3 for the electrical portion of that. So that will be in front of you a little bit later this year.
July 2027?
That's what we're pushing for. We're gonna try to be super aggressive with this one.
I would lead with that. That's insanely good.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
as far as some of the other projects that we have in front of you, I can kind of just go through those if you're waiting for the second here. But the cleaning house scourers and aspirator replacement, that will help us to increase yields and give us some better operational performance in our cleaning house, which feeds all 10 mills. We are looking to do a man lift in the MIDS facility that will just help our employees move just safer and quicker through the facility so they don't have to do the steps of all 7 floors. We're looking at doing a crossover track, taking care of some deteriorated paving, and then updating some lab equipment and the grain probes in our grain probe shack.
All right, we're gonna hold this open until Drew gets here. So,
Okay.
Is there any other mill business?
We don't have any other business. Obviously, wheat harvest is going well. We're well above average in completion. They reported over 56% on the 23rd of August here, but other than that, we're working away.
Fantastic. If you don't want to stay on the line while we move to Claire, we will call you with the good news because.
Oh. I'll stay on. Perfect. Thank you.
Morning, Clay.
Claire.
Right. Morning. Thank you, Governor and Commissioner. I'm providing per Century Code, the annual report to the North Dakota Transmission Authority, as well as the resilience of the electric grid in North Dakota. So just a quick summary on the grid. It has improved compared to last year, thanks to the restoration of coal facilities or not shutting down coal facilities. So that's helped. It helped him very quickly. So I'll try to be as quick as I can here. I know you're under a time crunch.
One question I was gonna ask, have there been any new peaking plants that have come online also,
Oh,
or?
sure.
Yeah,
I'll get to that here.
okay.
Maybe the activity highlights of the report for me. This was getting to participate in the Advanced Nuclear Energy Interim Committee. We hosted the Midwest Governors Association Transmission Summit in July, and it was the largest turnout since 2019. They were very pleased with North Dakota and the reception they got here, as well as the programming. Through your leadership, I've gotten the privilege of participating in several things on a national level. I was invited to be in a NERC workshop on grid reliability in DC. The NASIO conference, GridWorks is the Western Governors Association group, and NARUC, and also the National Governors Association Transmission Summit. So I get a lot of privileges because of your good work. I'll just skip over these other things. I just want them recorded, work that I've done. As far as project highlights, the North Plains Connector, the HVDC line, interregional project that will connect 3 different grids. And the first in the United States is moving forward well. That's a highlight for North Dakota. And then the MISO's futures process, and much thanks to Governor Armstrong for his help in that. When MISO was studying the futures, that's looking out like 20, 30 years in advance ahead. The slide on the left showed how much generation they had planned for North Dakota. And of course, we would like to see our natural gas and other generation resources used. And thanks to Governor Armstrong's letter, you can see how much they located in the futures of natural gas, primarily natural gas in North Dakota. So it made a huge difference in that plan. One thing I'd like to show you here is our exports of power and production of power in North Dakota. You can see that it has increased over time, and our exports have decreased. That's a sign of progress using our power locally, in state. But we still export about 30% of our production. I always like to show the group this slide. MISO measures the exports, North Dakota exports continually, measuring 19 spots, lines in that circle that includes Western Minnesota and Northeastern North Dakota. But since August of 22, flows of electricity have actually been more hours into North Dakota than out of North Dakota. So it speaks to the value of the grid, the greater grid, even outside our borders, that to keep the lights on, power needs to flow. This next slide just shows it on a more hourly basis. And as far as challenges to linear infrastructure, we've seen the increased cost of materials. Siting is getting increasingly difficult. The best corridors or the easiest corridors were probably picked in 1960. And that's becoming increasingly difficult. And of course, the magnitude of the projects, whether it's transmission or even industry, everything's so large now. And then there's some societal confusion, I feel, regarding the process. And so anyway, those are challenges that are developed as a business. And of course, this is a slide from EPRI, national organization that talks about the load growth projections for data centers, and those hockey sticks are significant even at the lower level. So we continues to see growth and need for additional generation and transmission. This slide was also shared at our transmission summit that showed what percentage of the consumption of electricity in each state is projected to be data centers. And you can see North Dakota is down there a ways, but yeah, significant. It projects 10% of our energy use in North Dakota could be data centers if their projections are correct.
So I have a question on that. So I don't know, 15 months ago, Ohio came out with a load growth estimate. And within 8 months, they reduced it by 75%. Like literally,
Right.
like they had this load growth for data centers that was abnormally high. Not sure where they're getting their information, but I'm assuming they have to talk to the companies that build these things in order to do that. And 8 months later, they literally reduce it by 75%, which I think is probably significantly more realistic to the environment that exists.
Right.
So like when they're doing all of this, I mean, I can't imagine Ohio's the only place that maybe their eyes were a little bigger than their stomach,
Right.
so to speak. So like how, I mean, I get that these are estimates, but who is compiling this information?
Yeah. So this one is EPRI 2, Electric Power Research Institute. So that's the organization of investor-owned utilities. And they can be wrong too, right? Their estimates. One of the struggles I think that people have, we had is that, well, take Google or Amazon. They're shopping around for a place to put a data center. They don't shop at one store. So if they ask Ohio, they talk to North Dakota, they talk to Texas, each economic development commission in
Community,
each state. Yeah, we're getting Google. Well, no, one of you are going to get Google, right? So it was probably, and MISO and SPP also found that when they're doing forecasting, it's probably 5 by 3.
My point is that it's not insignificant. It's Ohio.
Right.
And it's a 75% differential within a year. Like
Right.
that is not accurate information.
No.
I'm not sure the reduction is accurate either. I'm just
No.
saying the information is a magic 8 ball.
Right. Over enthusiastic. Right.
Yeah.
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 Well, I'm not going to swear by this, but this is what was shared.
Yeah. I mean, I just think it's,
It's their numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
But EPRI is a pretty reputable, is a reputable organization. The other thing I want to share with you is this is MISO. If you look at the pie graph on the right, it's 36% gas, 29% coal, 15% wind, and 14% nuclear. This is the energy production on an annual basis in 2025. So all of the above still seems to fit well, and they're keeping the lights on at that ratio. The other thing, just a quick snapshot of the huge investment that's being made in transmission across the country, but this is MISO. This is called Tranche 1. This included the JetX project, and there were 18 projects and the total cost of 10.3 billion. Tranche 2. This is 765 kV transmission. This is 24 projects and 22 billion. This is in MISO, and there's a couple projects that reach into North Dakota for the Bison Station near Mapleton. Just a side note, the green is the 765, but the 765 transmission lines carry 6 times as much power as a 345.
Really?
Yeah, so, of course, you're trying to minimize impact on land
Mm-hmm.
and routing and also get major capacity. That's a route, but they're big.
Hmm.
So then this slide just talks about the speed. This ERAS is Expedited Resource Addition Studies. MISO and SPP are both speeding up the process to get generation online. And all of these projects should be, there's 68 projects that were allowed, and 51 of them are from incumbent utilities, 13 independent power producers like a Rainbow Energy. But anyway, 70% of the new generation that's coming online is gas, 19% storage, and 7% solar, and 4% wind. This is in their sped up process. Now, if you look at SPP, which is in North Dakota, that's the Basin Electric family. They have a significantly more wind in their production. Last year, 36.7% was wind, 25% natural gas, and 29% coal. So their mix is a little different. They too have a lot of transmission investment happening, and they are looking at 765 down in the Oklahoma area and ultimately building north. There's several projects that are in the view that will impact North Dakota. One from Laramie Station in Wheatland, Wyoming, up to Belfield, and some other beefing up of the system in the southeast of North Dakota, moving to central North Dakota. And then the line that I've already mentioned, North Plains Connector, the HVDC line, that's getting a lot of attention for North Dakota because of its significance in connecting the 3 grids and the ability to move 3,000 megawatts of power. So that'd be like moving 3 Coal Creek Station amount of power. And this can go east or west. Very impressed with the work that they've done and the partners. Minnesota Power Elite was their first partner, but Minn Kota Power, Great River Energy, and MDU, as far as North Dakota operating companies, are partners in that project now.
Yeah, because it's unique, right? Like that's the first one that's kind of an orphan.
Right.
Like it's a different business model than anybody's seen before.
And they have plans to do like 5 or more down the United States. So it's really.
Did they decommission those plants at Colstrip?
There's 2 old ones that were decommissioned, but the other 2.
The other 2 are still
Yeah.
operating?
And they need to keep operating.
Yeah, because they don't have, that's what's powering the Northwest. and
Yeah,
West.
right. Then, the last thing here, we can just talk a little bit about the grants, the IIJA, the DOE grants. To this point, you have approved $12 million in projects. A few of them have finished, others are moving along well. City of Northwood, we're still waiting for the Build America, Buy America, Build America approval. And then we are still waiting for the FY 25 and 26 money desperately from DOE, and you pre-approved both Hillsborough and Lakota when those monies, should those monies come and when those monies. Any questions? Things are going well. I enjoy being on the Industrial Commission staff.
Yeah, what's your take on the interim nuclear study?
Here's my, this is my personal view. I was
That's
gonna
what I
have,
was asking.
yeah, if I was gonna have a power plant, next door to me, it'd be a nuclear line. I'm impressed with, we visited the National Labs. XL Energy provided a lot just because they operate too, a lot of help and information. So I see potential for that. in North Dakota and in the United States. And I think it's maybe going to be owned by the Googles and the Amazons with small modular reactors. And we need to get to the point, or the industry needs to get to the point where you have multiple scale of production scale. Now, you go to, have you been to Prairie Island?
I have not.
So
I've been to Duke, Bad Creek Hydro in South Carolina.
So Prairie Island's operated for 50 years, and all the spent fuel it's stored on site because there's no place to put it.
Same there.
In CAS, and it's on a field of a piece of land of the size of a football field. 50 years of spent fuel.
Really?
And they're in CAS, concrete CAS, probably about 10 feet in diameter. I'm wrong. Going to tell you I'm wrong, but I'm going to call them 10 feet in diameter and maybe 16 feet tall. And they're spaced so you could drive in between them. So that's just amazing to me. And you think of our aircraft carriers and submarines, they refuel them about every 20, 30 years. So it's amazing.
They've gotten more efficient.
Yeah. So anyway, I think the small modular reactors have great potential. And if you can locate generation disperse more, then you need less generation or less transmission too.
Problem with the small scale piece is for as dysfunctional as Congress has been in energy policy over the last 6 years, they've actually been pretty receptive in a bipartisan manner to reframe some of the nuclear regulatory regime.
Right. I believe.
But even then, the regulatory regime hasn't really caught up to the small scale modular reactor piece. Like, we think it takes a long time to permit a gas plant by permitting a nuclear.
So I guess the number of pages of regulations have gone from 1,400 to like 800.
It was literally
It's
the only true bipartisan energy piece I worked on in 4 years on
Yeah.
energy and commerce in Congress, which is very unique because the rest of the world away from this space.
Yeah.
They want to export their technology, but it's a matter if it's Australia, France, Southeast Asia, they're all in the decommission process. And I don't think they have plans for new, more efficient nuclear.
Right.
Whereas in the United States, the minute you talk gas, coal, oil, wind, solar, it becomes a partisan issue.
Right.
And nuclear was really,
Yeah.
like it was fun to work on because everybody on both sides recognized part of the solution.
So if you look at all the generation coal, those are built specifically for the fuel. So a coal plant in North Dakota is different than one because the fuel source is variable.
Yeah.
The benefit of natural gas, but the benefit is the fuel's right there. Huge benefit, huge advantage. The gas is the same composition wherever you hook up. So that makes, you can do cookie cutter gas generation. And wind is actually the same way. The wind's the same, but they can mass produce and put those things up quickly. And if nuclear can get there with the modular, Lego blocks, hauling in, make multiple units at a factory somewhere and haul them in on semis and stack them together to whatever size you need.
And it solves nuclear's other problem, which is policy related, right?
Right.
Like you can't put nuclear on the grid if you have primacy policies for renewables that will force nuclear under 30%. We think it takes a long time to start up and slow down a coal plant.
Yeah.
There are certain things that happen at nuclear plants that if they're not producing that's one of the cool things about the Bad Creek Hydro Station. Like it was originally designed as a battery storage. But what they ended up using it for is they take a lot of solar on the grid in South Carolina
Okay.
at non-peak hours. And they use it to refill, they use their solar power and their nuclear power to refill the hydro station. So their nuclear plant runs above the capacity where they're at before they start having like 48 hour, 54-hour shutdown and restart issues. It's also a really cool battery.
Yeah.
I mean, Bad Creek Hydro Station can power that grid or power that portion of the grid for like 24 hours in a bad scenario.
Hmm.
And I mean, geographically, it makes sense. It's a big swimming pool that they drain and then turn around their turbines and refill. It's really cool.
How many megawatts are one of those modular units?
From 25 to 300 is called a
Oh.
small modular, less than 25.
300
is
is
called a
small.
micro. What?
300 is small, huh?
Yeah. Well, but that's pretty cool if you
Yeah,
make that
that's-
modular, right? 300. So you would need 4 of them to make I always use Coal Creek. It's so close.
Yeah,
there,
it's
but 4 of them to make a Coal Creek.
yeah, that's pretty,
Hauling them on, man, they're going to be big semis, but
yeah.
haul them on semi.
Thanks, Clay.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. Support.
Apologize for my late arrival, Claire. I was trying to miss your approach.
Thanks, Kara. Good. Appreciate the support.
Before we go to Justin, let's go back to 2 on the agenda and we have a motion and a second consideration of Mills capital plan. And Kathy waited. She really wanted to see you.
Kathy,
Good morning, Drew.
how are things at the rec shop right there?
Very good.
I know the mills, I read all the stuff. It looks great.
Commissioner,
Yes.
Attorney General.
Yes.
Governor.
Yes. Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you.
Justin, you're up.
Good morning. To get this slide deck pulled up, I know I've got the ability to go over my time, but I'm gonna watch the clock closely and we're gonna get.
Claire just took that away from you.
I want to start with a little bit of fun tidbit. So now, this summer marks an important milestone for the region. 100 years of natural gas service, and the story and the evolution of what that has meant regionally. Take a look back very quickly. The Cedar Creek anticline that straddles North Dakota and Montana is home to the Baker natural gas field. And so that tidbit you see with the proclamation and the information there, again, 100 years old. The city of Glendive had found that note, a 3-day community celebration for the first natural gas pipeline that was going into that community. And it wasn't an afternoon ribbon cutting, it was 3 days. And so it is significant what these pipeline systems mean and what has been built out over the last 100 years, and the decisions that are being made at this table are going to impact the region positively for the next 100 years. And so it's a pretty fantastic tale that's been told. And you can see on this next graphic, just again, for some fun historic reference, that system that started 100 years ago ended up getting to the Dickinson Bismarck area in 1930. So we'll hit that 100-year milestone here in a couple of years, probably about the same time the Bakken East pipeline is proposed to come across. And then interestingly, it was another 40 years before that system continued east of Bismarck as it headed towards that Jamestown Valley City. So
Is the caverns, are they just south of Glendive?
correct. So that gas field that was produced at that time has now been converted into North America's single largest natural gas storage field. So again, the evolution over that 100-year time period from being a major producing field now to a strategic asset for our pipeline network here on the storage side as well.
Was that your great grandfather's map there, Justin? Same role.
Yes, yeah, loving the maps.
Sounds impressive. Once you bring it.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
So we'll shift gears now. We'll quickly work through a number of these. Some of these are in here just for reference because I do want to spend some time on some of the later material in this slide deck because it is new and I want to make sure that it's clearly understood. We're going to fast forward just a quick snapshot on the pipeline market shares. Again, this is something that you've used to seeing from me. Again, how this story has continued to unfold. Again, around 85% or so of that system coming through North Dakota is now filled with North Dakota natural gas. And this is going to be an important dynamic for that content later. Because as you look back in history, I don't have it earlier than that 2014 timeframe, but the Northern Border Pipeline System, as it comes out of Canada into North Dakota, used to be historically almost exclusively 100% Canadian natural gas. And it's just been the dynamics that as our production has grown, we've taken over more and more space on that pipeline, meaning that there's excess capacity north of North Dakota, bring in additional natural gas if the market needs it. And again, we'll get to that here later this morning. One update, not a positive update on the Bakken Express project. This is that joint project between TC Energy and Kinder Morgan. You'll see that in red there that it is delayed. It was supposed to be in service in May of this year. Of construction pieces, it was a $555 million project for compressor system replacements, pipe reconfigurations. That system, all the construction, the physical assets are done. It is a transactional piece between the five or so half a dozen parties that are preventing natural gas from moving through the pipeline system. So as of right now, at capacity, when I just step back and look at North Dakota as a whole, I've not been able to identify any major constraint points, but as you heard from the DMR team last week, we're at record levels of natural gas production. And so it is a need going forward that this system starts moving natural gas here in the not too distant future before things continue to get tighter and tighter here in the marketplace. But there is no public information out about specific timelines of when natural gas will start moving on that. It's behind the scenes with the parties trying to negotiate through.
Are they fighting or are they negotiating? Do we know?
I don't know. Their information is almost non-existent. Right? So on the public side. But again, physically, all the work is complete. But I'll keep the commission updated as more comes out on that. On the construction side, we'll pump forward again to the major projects. We'll take a look at the two north of Lake Sakakawea to start the Minot Industrial Pipeline. Again, that is one that is tied to the iron processing facility that's proposed for the Minot area. So again, that project, iron facility needs the pipeline system. The pipeline system needs that anchor with that iron processing. So those two are tied hand in hand. So just continue to watch the developments on that. That iron project is the major driver for that system. And then the line section 32, that smaller system over to the Epping area, moving forward to meet the needs of the Bison generation facility. Basin Electric is constructing that facility. And then on the Bakken East system, a couple of updates there. I'll punch on the timeline here in a moment, but this is the latest pipeline route that's being proposed. See all the different specifications there. I won't walk through them individually. Commercially, there was a very positive announcement earlier this month that WBI did execute precedent agreements with all parties that had shown interest in the project during their open season process. That was a major milestone for them, get everyone inked up and that project then moving towards a final investment decision here later this year, continuing onward with the regulatory process. The next project,
They started with FERC. They have, right?
there's been pre-filings with FERC and no new public information on the Intensity Infrastructure Partners project. Again, that's proposed that phase one to provide service towards Rainbow Energy Center. No further details above and beyond what's been provided in the past. Coming back to the governor's question about FERC involvement and landowner involvement. So you can see a map here. There's WBI themselves, here in the last year has had 14 open house events. FERC, this summer, May and June, started holding public scoping sessions with landowners. They've had 5 of those, as well in North Dakota. So that the process, at least pre-filing process, is well underway. Engagement continues there between the company and the regulators and landowners and all the stakeholders.
Have they had decent attendance or participation in those from communities and?
Yes, as far, I was, attended one of them and it was very well done as far as the
Yeah,
information. Yeah, I think so. The right people, all the landowners that could potentially be impacted get direct letters from FERC notifying them of those
Good.
events. So, yeah. This is the latest WBI provided me on their work. They've got 97% permission to survey along their mainline system. And then as those new laterals were being developed off of it, you can see the second bullet point there, they're 80% permission to survey. And then continuing to work through all that pre-filing work on the survey, wetlands, cultural, special species work, again, well underway. And the comment that I noted earlier on the timeline, the only thing that has changed in this graphic from what the commission has seen in the past was originally the customer agreements were targeting to be done in Q2. That's just shifted to Q3. Again, it's all wrapped up now. And the only other timeline bullet that moved here is the FERC 7C application going from Q3 to Q4. The company does not believe that that's going to alter anything further to the right as far as in-service construction, any of those timelines. So it's just those two that have shifted slightly. They're targeting that Q4 filing and then final investment decision sometime ahead of that year later this year. And then in the last 5 minutes that I've got here, I want to pass through a couple of these. I really want to focus on this segment of these last several slides. A lot of questions coming out with all of the different changing dynamics in the landscape as far as new projects, new infrastructure, and what that means here to North Dakota. You know, how do all these projects get the gas delivered to them? Is there going to be sufficient gas for, you know, all kinds of needs, the projects that we know about and potentially future projects and things even that Claire was talking about on the power generation, fertilizer, XYZ, you name it, enhanced oil recovery. So I've tried to put together some more formal studies and models here of what that's going to look like potentially under various scenarios going forward. And the reason I've got that switchboard on this graph, again, the natural gas market is incredibly nimble, incredibly creative. The hardest part of all of this comes down to the infrastructure piece. We have phenomenal pipeline connectivity. Existing infrastructure will be that much stronger once Bakken East, if that continues to move forward as proposed. The infrastructure, the hard part is done, and the creativity, the marketplace then moves forward as far as taking advantage of that. So the key things, the supply, the demand and the supply components of it, I've outlined all the various projects on the demand that are publicly known about at this time. And again, more are likely to be added to this list in the future, including those different industrial projects, power gen, enhanced oil recovery. That's been a big question that I've been getting. Is there enough rich gas to support the enhanced oil recovery efforts? And then residential, commercial, as these pipeline systems move across, the supply needs that those communities would need going forward. And then on the supply side, this is where, again, there's a little less clarity from folks about exactly how this works. We've got our own production growth in the forecast models. Take a look at our connectivity to existing pipelines to Canada, to the Rockies, to the mid-continent, and some of the other levers that can be pulled here within the state as far as ethane management and energy supply at a more localized scale. And it all comes down to this last slide. So I have just for quick reference, the 2026, where we were sitting mid-year 2026, and then I use 2035 just as a clean number to say, what could the natural gas landscape look like during a few different scenarios during that same time? So the base case that you have there is largely built by those previous two slides of what projects are potentially on the table on that the right-hand portion of that, which is the consumption and pipe takeaway, and then you have the supply side. And when we look at Bakken East, all of the customers and the demand that has signed up for that project, I've included enhanced oil recovery. I wanted to stack everything in that I could to make sure that there was a very strong case that the gas supply would be able to be met through that. On the power generation, the industrial and Minot project, Cerrelon is built into this, other local demand from communities. And the supply side, no challenge at all, being able to meet that with our existing production and pipeline connectivity. I took that and started ratcheting up even further. What if there's more enhanced oil recovery demand? What if there's more power demand that's coming that we're not aware of in a high case, and even an extreme, very high case scenario? There are ways to solve for those natural gas supply needs in North Dakota. So it's a very, very positive picture across the board for the communities, for the oil industry looking at enhanced oil recovery, for the industrial partners looking at North Dakota. We are in a very, very strong position with our pipe connectivity, our access to storage, our own local supply. So North Dakota is doing very well, but it's over the next 10 years, things will be shifting, and it's not going to be the same status quo that we've been used to over the last 15 years as this continues to build out and evolve.
One thing that will be the same is this is all associated gas.
Correct.
If we do not move the gas,
Yeah.
our oil production will constrict.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Like worst case, like this is all like modeled. Worst case scenario is we dump into Northern Border or we dump into Alliance and we don't constrain oil production on an existing pad because Ford or Continental or EOG or Exxon or ConocoPhillips can't move their gas. Like I wasn't a math major, but 10% off a barrel of oil is better than 10% off an MCF. Like I think that's part of this is so any community to do economic development along the line or reasonably cleanly like providing power from the northwest part of the state to the southeast part of the state. But also I'm looking at the guy behind you right now and saying we have to get our gas out of the Bakken, otherwise we will end up constraining oil production at a time when we are becoming a more mature oil plant.
How about ethane? Has there been any projects announced or people even playing with that idea of doing a combined cycle power generation with ethane?
There was some very strong looks at that over the years. As of late, the power projects I'm aware of are looking to use traditional residue gas. The
Okay.
ethane can be part of that stream as it typically fluctuates, but not a dedicated ethane only. That was something that was looked at very hard, and they figured.
Because we risk being rejected in the system if we don't get the ethane out or down.
Correct. So yeah, that ethane management piece is going to remain critical.
Okay.
That's all I have for the commission this morning, but appreciate the time.
Thank you. Me? Some are worse than others. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Are they doing?
Well, that's even like when they're showing SPB, that 27% that is wind gen. Almost all of that is southern Oklahoma, northern Texas. So Texas doesn't have a single state like Texas. Turns out they have a lot of flat land and the wind.
That's right. Yes.
You're up.
All right. Morning, Commission. A little bit of an update today. The oil and gas side, we'll start there. June was a good month for production, and recently rig counts have increased quite nicely. Rig count in North Dakota a month ago was at 26. We're at 33 rigs right now. So that's an increase of 7 rigs month over month.
Thanks for doing the math on it.
Right, I got the chart, I got the chart. Thanks for
Just going to check one. Okay.
Part of my job. Part of my job. I gotta help the lawyer, you know. I got that. All right, completions were also up nicely. We would expect that in summer. One point it's neat is that last month we had 14 different operators that ran rigs in the basin, and that number now stands at 19 different operators running rigs in the basin. Some new companies that have brought rigs in. Permits also increased in July to 93, over 85 in June. Oil production went up May to June 2.45%, or about 27,000 barrels per day. You can see the production numbers right around little over 1.15 million barrels per day, which is above the revenue forecast. And then, of course, the gas number that Justin spoke about is at 3.583 BCF per day. On the operational efficiencies, the second bullet there, which is really incredible, is the estimated average producing lateral length is at 13,602 feet. 2 years ago, that was at 11,000 feet. So I won't do the math, but it's right there on the page. That's a pretty incredible increase in lateral length in just 2 years, and driven by the kind of low oil price prior to the Iran conflict. Operators continue to increase laterals, but we see it today. Spacing unit at Burke and Divide, northern Williams County, southern and western McKenzie counties.
And the engineers, does anybody assess like what looks like there's a drop? There's a point where they can't expect to go beyond that, or is it as simple as no evolving technology? There's no end. They continue to find ways to.
Find ways. We have
gone up so dramatic. I can't believe it.
Yeah, it's really incredible. We have 5 mile unit applications in right now that we're contemplating, and you know, as you move outside of Watford City, the deepest, highest pressure part of the basin, pressure goes down. I would say productivity, rock productivity goes down just a little bit, and so in order to increase economics, they've continued to increase lateral length. And there at some point there's steel limitations, but they'll come up with something as well. So when I started, we were just drilling vertical wells. For now and then we would drill a directional well, and it was a really big deal. It's going a while back. So charts on the next page, it just goes through pricing and activity levels. You can see we got a line in the bottom part of the graph that's the sharp increase that we spoke about earlier. I've summarized the rig count below. This is a August 19th, 2026. You can see that along with about a month prior to that, and then he increased it. This is how I really figured out that math. I looked at this. And so you can see the additional operators that brought in rigs, which is good to see. I would also say that all of the leading indicators that we're seeing right now tell us that production should continue to increase modestly through summer, but we'll see. So, on the legislative side, the DMR is preparing for that session.
How many completion, how many frac crews are running?
8, but there's 3 or 4 spot crews running as well. Yeah. So last month, I think it was right. So we're down a little bit, but there's these spot crews running as well. That number, Governor, is actually the black line on the graph up above.
Okay.
Yeah. Keep in mind, rig count has gone down, frac crew count has gone down over time. Completed lateral footage has actually stayed the same, and productivity is flat and maybe slightly decreasing if you drew these lines out over the course of the last few years. So that's the trend. They're more efficient with the equipment that they have in the air, rigs and frac crews that they have running. So we're preparing for the legislative session. We do see a need for a few minor updates, and most of it's consistent with industry technology advancements for new and existing industries, specifically a couple items on the oil and gas side. On the geological survey side, there's an aerial gravity survey being completed on the northeast part of the state. That is in collaboration with the USGS, and they're searching for changes in the Earth's gravity in hopes of finding metallurgical ore in the basement rock. Pembina Gorge State Park fossil dig yielded a 6-foot fish. Apparently it's not even folded over. It's going to get recovered next season. There has been another fish up there that was found and it was folded over. This one's supposedly really, really neat.
Is it a real 6-foot fish or is it a picture 6-foot fish?
Yeah, that's right. Or you push it out a little farther.
Big hand, big hands.
That's right. Critical mineral drilling, that starts next month. So this is the second season of the biennium and the focus will be in the rain bed in the counties that you see there. We expect to get 25 to 30 cores. These are legislatively approved dollars for continued critical mineral research. Succession planning, we have our finance manager, Robin Laumer, will be retiring at the end of the month with 31 years with the state. We've hired a new finance manager and that individual will start September 1. Then on the budget side, we've submitted our budget per the governor's budget outline, and that next step will be meeting with the OMB through that budget. That's my update for today.
Questions?
Thanks.
Thanks.
Ian is online.
Morning. I've got the city of Castleton requesting $6.2 million to replace their water main, storm, and sanitary sewer in downtown Castleton. They, for this clean water request, they've actually are going to split it into two different bonds. They've got $2.3 million that they're going to issue improvement bonds payable from special assessments. And then the remaining $3,915,000, they're going to issue revenue bonds payable from their city sales tax that's dedicated to infrastructure. That'll have an average annual payment of $163,296. The city collects a 2% city sales tax, and it's got a variety of uses. They've got no bonds that are secured by the city sales tax at this time. And so they've got plenty of excess sales tax. They are also requesting a drinking water loan that fell below the $2 million threshold, but that also will be secured by the city's sales tax, and that's included in the pro forma SRF payments, and there will be plenty of excess city sales tax. And then again, the improvement bonds that are secured by special assessments. And based on that information, the advisory committee recommended approval of the Clean Water SRF loan.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. Roll call.
Commissioner,
Yes.
Attorney General.
Yes.
Governor.
Yes.
The city of Fessenden is requesting an increase to their previously approved loan. They had a $2 million loan for their lagoons, and they knew that they were going to need a loan increase, and we just asked that they wait until they were sure of what the amount was going to be. So their request is $2.1 million. This project also is receiving state wastewater grant money from House Bill 1577 of $1.9 million. They were supposed to receive a FEMA brick grant, and that was not available to them. So House Bill 1577 restored that funding in place of the federal funding. The city's requested a 30-year loan term, and they're issuing revenue bonds payable with their water and sewer revenues. Their average annual payment will be $168,855. They have increased their water base rates by $25. They've increased their water volume charge by $2.25. They've increased their infrastructure fee by $5. And all of these fee increases should generate approximately $191,000. And affording them to meet our 110% operating coverage requirement and make and that will help them cover this $168,000 bond payment. And based on that information, the advisory committee recommended approval of this loan.
So moved.
Second.
How much of it, because we dealt with, so they had a resilience grant from the federal government that we dealt with last session because those got kind of pulled back. But I'm assuming this difference is primarily the cost increase just on materials because that was no longer sufficient by the time we got to it. Is that correct, Deanne?
Well,
I mean,
roughly, they also only, if I remember correctly, only had one bidder for this project too.
Yeah.
So
it came in higher than they thought it would.
Yes.
All right. Roll call.
Commissioner?
Yes.
Attorney General?
Yes.
Yes.
Grand Forks is requesting $2,042,000. This is for Phase 3 expansion of the city water mains and to provide potable water service to the commercial and residential users in the recently annexed land north of Grand Forks. They have requested a 30-year loan term. Their average annual payment will be $85,000. They're going to issue improvement bonds payable with special assessments. And the city's water fund, which is not going to be making the payments, but just wanted to indicate that they would have the capability. They have operated in the black and no issues there. The city has used the SRF extensively. They currently have 8 clean water loans outstanding, 4 drinking water loans outstanding, and the commission has approved additional clean water loan and a drinking water loan that have not yet closed, just are in the process of closing. So they have approximately $151 million outstanding with the SRF program. Based on that, and they've made all payments as agreed, and based on that information, the advisory committee recommended approval of this loan.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Commissioner?
Yes.
Attorney General?
Yes.
Governor?
Yes.
And then last, I just have a memo with the 4 loans that were approved at the last advisory committee meeting that were below the $2 million threshold. Bowman, and then the partner loan for the city of Castleton's project. And then there was a Stanley water sewer road project that was approved as well. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer those on those loans.
Anybody have any questions?
No. No.
All right,
Please, yeah.
thank you.
Our lawyer's here, Drew. Another lawyer's here, Drew.
Governor, I move that under the authority of the North Dakota Century Code sections 44-04-18.4, 44-04-19.1, 44-04-19.2, and 54-63.1 through 6, the Industrial Commission enter into executive session for purpose of attorney consultation regarding litigation and for the discussion of the confidentiality request under the Clean Sustainable Energy Authority program.
Second.
Roll call.
Attorney General?
Yes.
Commissioner?
Yes.
Governor?
Yes. The commission is meeting in executive session pursuant to 4404-19.1, 4404-19.2 for attorney consultation related to litigation. Only commission members, their staff, commission staff, DMR staff, the Pipeline Authority Executive Director, Transmission Authority Executive Director will participate in this executive session. Following this executive session, the commission will meet in executive session pursuant to 4404-18.4, 4404-19.2, and 5463.106 to discuss the confidentiality request under the Clean Sustainable Energy Authority. Only commission members, their staff, commission staff, BND staff, and Clean Sustainable Energy Authority members will participate in this executive session. Any formal action taken by the commission will reconvene session. I remind commission members and those present in the executive session that the discussion must be limited to the announced purposes. The executive session is anticipated to last approximately 30 minutes and will begin at 9:10 a.m. The executive session has ended at 9:43 a.m. and the commission is reconvened in open session. During the attorney consultation executive session, current and pending litigation was discussed. No executive action was taken. During the Clean and Sustainable Energy Authority executive session, discussion was held regarding a confidentiality request. Is there an action by the commission?
I move that we grant the confidentiality request, given the fact there's financial and trade secrets involved.
Second.
It was moved by the Agriculture Commission, second by the Attorney General, that the Industrial Commission accepted a recommendation of Jordan Kananian, Deputy Executive Director, and pursuant to NDCC 4404-18.4, 4725-1.01, 5463.106, that we grant the confidentiality request and determine that the request is confidential and that the information described in the request is trade secret, commercial, financial, or proprietary information and is confidential. Calvin, you we gotta vote.
Commissioner,
Yes.
Attorney General.
Yes.
Governor.
Yes. Calvin, you are up.
Yep, Governor,
Calvin.
Governor, members of the commission, I'm going to turn to Jordan first. And let him talk to you a little bit about the meeting with Clean Sustainable Energy, and then I'll go to the presentation.
Commissioners, the project before you that we have before you with 5 months ago, you approved an extension. And requested for a revised application. Partner brought in change and technology change in the project, and so that was the application came in and went through the full technical review process as usual. And also the technical committee of CC considered it and scored it. So the average score from the technical reviewers up to independent technical reviewers was 267 out of 315. Strong recommendations to fund. Comments on proven technology, highlighting that the technology is proven through successful real world applications, solid management team and project plan. The only one question that the reviewers brought out is that this technology, although it's proven in the real world, like Claire's in here, he happened to mention it this morning, how every coal was different, right? You can't have a cookie cutter thing for coal. And so that's the only question that the reviewers brought out, is that this hasn't been proven with North Dakota lignite flue gas. But the developers are confident in the process and that it'll work fine. So good scores from the technical reviewers. And then the CC committee scored an average of 42.8 out of 50. So all the technical experts scored this project well. And so I'll leave it at that for help, and I'll get the slides on.
That does raise a question though. CO2 is CO2. Is there something else they believe is coming out of the flue gas that would interfere with it?
We can talk about that in confidential.
Okay.
Yeah, the answer is no.
Okay.
That's probably the easy answer. And I can tell you how they've worked their way through that. Okay. So let me just talk on Project Thunder for a second. This is a project that has been around for quite some time.
Been around as long since I owned my first Toyota Tundra.
I was gonna.
Shows up different, showing it's going on my screen, but not on that screen. So that's interesting.
Okay. So just go ahead and click down to that first slide.
Yeah, like on my screen, it showed a different slide already. So I'm not sure why.
No, so once you go back to the project tender slide. There we go. All right. So just to touch really quick on Project Tundra, as the governor mentioned, this project has been around for about a decade. The desire is to capture the CO2 coming off of the Milton R. Young power plant. Anticipated capture is about 5 million metric tons per year. The reason that this has been under discussion for so long is that as we went through transitions, obviously with different administrations, there's been different requirements put onto the coal plants over the course of the decades. And CO2 emissions is obviously one that has been undertaking some discussion. The idea here is that as we look at the coal plant, you can enhance and preserve the 350 jobs at the plant. And then you would also have some obviously construction jobs that would come forward with it. On the next slide, you can see the timeline summary. And this has been in project design since about 2015. And it's always interesting to watch the evolution of these projects. As it began then, you had the commencement of the formal carbon safe storage and feasibility work in 2017. You had engineering work from 2018 to 2021. In 23, DOE awarded the Tundra project up to $350 million. It received a little bit of that funding in 2024. In 2023, the state came forward and selected Tundra and Minn Kota for a loan of up to $250 million through CSEA. And then we moved into the 2026 timeframe, which Jordan has touched on, which is, the CSEA commitment letter was set to expire. We came to the Industrial Commission, had the conversation about extending the loan commitment to September 31st of 2026. The directive was to request Minn Kota to submit a revised application in coordination with Reliant Energy, who is their business partner now. And that went through a full technical and an economic review with the CSEA board. They met last week. We're now bringing you their recommendation. If you notice on the timeline, in 2023, the initial project partners were TC Energy, Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, and Kiewit Construction. And I'm going to touch just a bit here in a minute on what happened in sort of Tundra 2.0, as they're calling this. So the next slide, you can see the company called Reliant and Minn Kota have teamed up. Reliant is a company that has history with working with the coal plants in North Dakota and have brought together, I think, quite a team of folks that we'll be working with, which includes, Chart, Sergeant Engineer. They have Quanta, and then Evercore will be there as they work on this. And the way they split this project up is that Reliant will be capturing the carbon and doing the delivery, and then Minn Kota will retain the sequestration and the landowner relations and be moving it forward in that way so that you have kind of a split between the capture and the sequestration. Reliant is bringing forward a solution that will decarbonize the plant at no cost to the power company or its ratepayers. And there's quite a number of different advantages that they have brought forward with this new technology. So if you look at Project Tundra 2.0 on this next slide, what you'll see is that really what happened was as we went into Tundra 1.0, as they're calling it, one of the key challenges was that the cost of the project had accelerated. And it was pressing up towards that $3 billion range. And that was just too big of a project, too much risk to take on. And it used a different, the enemy technology is what they called it. So it was like building a whole new car at that point with what we were doing with 1.0. And you can see the different risks in there that have been addressed from inflation and supply chain challenges to the labor risk, construction timelines, and the financial hurdles. And so those have been addressed as we're going into Project 2.0. And the difference between 2.0 and 1.0, you can go to the next slide, is that Reliant has come forward and they have a history not only working on coal plants, but they have a history of looking at these kinds of projects and moving into understanding how to monetize the CO2 credits to actually develop and move these projects forward. So as you can see, kind of down there on the lower left, Reliance exec chair actually began his career as the mine foreman at the Leland Olds Power Station. And it's, sorry, progressed through the years. And what they've been able to do is really look at and take a page from what's happening in the oil and gas industry and technology that's been proven over and over and over, which is the cryogenic process, where they cool, to your point, the gases coming out of the stack and are able to then make that into a product that they can then take forward and do sequestration with. So the technology that they have really began in Utah in 2019, was kind of developed there. The demonstration, first demonstration they did was actually on a coal plant in Alabama. And today they're taking it to commercialization in Kansas City, and it's actually on a cement plant. It's called Sugar Creek that uses coal-fired technology. And so they are in the process of ramping up and commercializing this technology, proving it out, and then it will be coming over onto the coal plant. So that's kind of the overview. I think there's a couple of other things just to note as we went through the project. One of those things was as the federal government changed the tax credits related to 45Q and have now set that price at 85 for sequestration. And so that has brought interest into these kinds of projects. And that's the one part about working with this company is that they have actually done these types of tax equity projects or credits over the year to the tune of about $4 billion. And so they have experience doing that. They bring an experienced working team with Evercore, which is the bank that they'll be working with as they put forward. And so just a quick touch on the financial component. Here is, what the companies have requested are basically two different loans. So if you recall, this was a $250 million request. And the companies in the revised application asked for $90 million to be provided to Minn Kota to provide them with senior secured debt. And this would go towards doing the sequestration side of the project. So this would be putting in all of the infrastructure that would be required to do that. And it would be noted that they have already received the permitting for their sequestration facilities and have that taken care of. So they were asking for 90 million. And I'll talk a bit about the recommendation from the Clean Sustainable Energy Authority. And then we also have, as part of that request, $160 million that would go to Reliant. And this would be to actually help develop the carbon capture storage on the front end that would go onto the plant. And I would note that Reliant has actually worked at this plant before and helped develop some of the other technology and capture that they have done on other types of things such as SOx and NOx in the past. If you go to the next slide, and this is just an overview that they gave me that we have the okay to share. And this is just the broad overview of kind of how this project looks. So this is a $1.6 billion project, which is still a really large project, but much different than a $3 billion project. You can see that they're requesting with the Reliant side, $160 million from the CSCA loan. They'll be doing third-party debt of about $1 billion. So they'll have total debt of $1.171 billion. And then they'll have equity of $502 million. So they'll be bringing substantial equity into the project to make it.
This is just Reliance portion.
This is just
Okay.
Reliance portion. Yep. Yeah, this is just Reliance portion of the project. So total project capitalization on that side is $1.6 billion. And you can kind of see how that breaks out. So that would be kind of a broad overview of Tundra, where it's at today, and the presentation that they provided us at the Clean Sustainable Energy Authority. Or anything you would add at this point? Okay.
So you mentioned something that I just wanted clarification on. When Congress addressed Q45, the $85 a ton is for utilization or sequestration.
Yeah, so they changed it to where it's 85 both for
They
either
could-
sequestration or for EOR.
And they could still go down that road. This doesn't change
Right,
the scope of the project. It's-
right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the way the project is being set up is that if they wanted to go, they could do either
They
path.
could
They
either,
will be doing sequestration, but there could be an EOR component in the future.
I think that brings up another point, like you started at the front through changing administrations, but these
Yeah.
weren't subtle changes.
right?
We went from President Obama to President Trump, President Biden,
Yeah.
to President Trump. 45Q had a $25 differential for a
Yep.
big portion of that. That changed in early 2000 or in mid 2025. Like I think we criticize these guys for bringing different projects or different, not a different project, but different funding, different. But the reason they are doing it is because the literal directive from DC has diametrically flipped from
Yeah.
180 degrees 2 different times. I mean, the fundamental science of the project has evolved over 10 years because the science has gotten better
Right.
and the technology has gotten better. But the real issue with this project is because you've had 2 Republican presidents and 2 Democratic presidents that have had vastly different directives for projects of this type. And they have been caught in the middle of that for a decade.
I think that's a really good explanation.
Only legislative change, the only legislative change affecting this project was 45Q and having parity for EOR and sequestration. Everything else has been ideological rulemaking, depending on whether there was an R or a D behind whoever was in the White House. And they've been caught in the middle.
Yeah, and they do have, they do have an application before DOE. As I mentioned, they had the $350 million before DOE. That has been sort of approved, but has not been distributed. And so they continue to work with DOE on that. And if that were to come in, then that would reduce some of the debt, obviously, on this project, as that would be coming in as a grant.
But this DOE is significantly more interested in enhanced oil recovery. The
And
last
sequestration.
DOE ran out of the room with their hair on fire if you mentioned
Yes.
enhanced oil recovery. Like literally, this isn't a subtle change.
No, it's,
I was there.
yeah, it's a significant change. Good. Other questions?
I don't need to move back into confidential to
Yeah.
pass the loans.
Then and I can talk about this in open. So the motion by Sustainable Energy Authority, which was in their open session, was to provide Minkota with a loan of 45 million, as opposed to the 90 million that they had requested. Provide Reliant with a loan of 160 million. And then look at corporate guarantees with the companies, and then having project funds locked in prior to construction start. So that was the recommendation from the Clean Sustainable Energy Authority.
What does look at guarantees mean?
That,
Required?
I think that will be a discussion for the Industrial Commission. In that, I think as we have worked with projects in the past on clean sustainable energy, we have not required corporate guarantees. I think as they have looked at this project with Clean Sustainable Energy Authority and looked at the companies involved, and the amount of funding involved and project status, that they would like to see if we can negotiate corporate guarantees for this project. We have not talked to the companies about that at this point, so that would be something that we would take the direction from the Industrial Commission for, and look for your guidance.
Look at as significantly not legal term.
Okay.
Okay. Me, I move that under the authority of the Century Code, section 6-09. -3, 5, 44-04, -18.4, 44-04, -19.1, 44-04, 19.2 and 54-63.1 through 6, the Industrial Commission enter executive session for purpose of a clean, sustainable energy authority confidential business, Bank of North Dakota confidential business, and attorney consultation.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Attorney General,
Yes.
Commissioner,
Yes.
Governor,
Yes. The commission is meeting in executive session pursuant to 609-35, 4404-18.4404-19.2, and 54-63.106. Discuss loan recommendations by the Clean and Sustainable. Only commission members, their staff, commission staff, and BMD staff will participate in this executive session. Following this executive session, the commission is meeting in executive session pursuant to NDCC 4404-18.4404-19.1 and 4404-19.2 to discuss Bank of North Dakota confidential business and for attorney consultation regarding only commission members, their staff, commission staff, Bank of North Dakota staff, assistant general, and the Bank of North Dakota will participate in an executive session. Any formal action taken by the commission will occur after it reconvenes in open session. Remind the commission members and those present in executive session that the discussion must be limited to the announcements. The executive session is anticipated to last approximately 45 minutes and will begin at 10:10 a.m. because I'm going to give my egg and myself a settlement.
Thank you. Announcements. Well, maybe I can do that. Okay.
Let's wait for her.
Okay. Well, then.
Yeah.
So if no one is aware, it's Karen's birthday today. She just turned 39. And I think it'll be very fitting. Recognize. Say good things about her today, like we do every day, but say more.
President of the bank would like to sing a solo.
Oh, yeah.
Happy birthday to Karen. Happy birthday to Ageless.
That's what I thought. I thought you were only 36.
thank you very much.
Thank you. It's awesome. Like I go to zero event, then I lost my birthday. I do. This executive session has ended at 10:35 a.m. and the commission is reconvened in open session. During the Clean and Sustainable Authority executive session, discussion was held regarding 2 loans. Is there any action and what is the wishes of the commission?
I make a motion to accept the recommendation of the Clean and Sustainable Energy Authority and approve 2 loans as described in confidential attachment 11.
Second.
There can't be any discussion, but the revised application for which was completed on the requirements set forth by the commission at March 25th, 2026 Industrial Commission, and we will take the vote.
Commissioner,
Yes.
Attorney General,
Yes.
Governor,
Yes. Aaron, you are up.
for the Industrial Commission Admin Office, we just have 1 set of orders for consideration approval.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner,
Yes.
Attorney General,
Yes.
Yes.
and that's it for the agenda. Our next regular Industrial Commission meeting is Tuesday, September 22nd at 9 o'clock in the Governor's Conference Room.
Thank you guys for accommodating. Go to Mountainside and go to Dickinson. And I have you for 1 second.